Welcome, guardians of nuance and lovers of real talk, to a pivotal edition of Turkish series stars. In a landscape where glitz can turn to grit in a heartbeat, where a single whisper can snowball into a storm, tonight we bring you the saga that has electrified the Turkish entertainment world. This is not the tale of a star collapsing under the weight of rumor, but of a line drawn in the sand by an unexpected protector. The spotlight has swung onto Yağmur Yüksel, surrounded by a chorus of online accusations, and into that noise stepped Baris Baktaş, calm as midnight, steady as a lighthouse, refusing to let a colleague, and more than that, a trusted friend, be swallowed by chaos. Before we plunge into what he said and why it mattered, make sure you're subscribed to Turkish series stars, turn on your notifications, and tap like if you believe loyalty still means something in this industry. If you want to help us keep this kind of ethical, in-depth storytelling alive, the join button is your VIP pass. Now, take a breath and follow us into the eye of the storm. For days that felt like years, social media was a pressure cooker. It started with shadows, whispers about supposed professional differences on a past project, and then it mutated, as these things do, into a digital hunt. Threads multiplied. Clips were spliced out of context. Anonymous sources claimed to know everything. Suddenly, people who had never set foot on those sets were experts in what happened there. The chorus got cruel, accusations that chipped at Yağmur's work ethic, needles aimed at her character, insinuations that said more about envy than evidence. And in the middle of it, she chose silence. A dignified quiet, a pause that could have protected her from adding fuel to the blaze, but that the crowd mistook for confession. The faceless jury had a verdict before a single fact stood up and spoke its name. Familiar phrases began to orbit like vultures, tensions on set, crossed lines, difficult behavior, those old tropes that rise whenever a powerful woman holds her ground at the top of her game. It was messy. It was loud. It felt inevitable. And then it wasn't. Because someone, somewhere, decided enough was enough. Enter Baris Baktaş. No prepared statement issued through a lawyer. No sanitized paragraph tucked behind a publicist's email. He walked into an event, flashbulbs cracking, microphones reaching, reporters hungry for a bite, and he didn't flinch. His posture did the talking before his mouth did, shoulders squared, gaze steady, tone composed. When the questions came, he didn't dodge. He answered with simple certainty, the kind that doesn't need volume to be heard. He said he's known Yağmur for years, not as a name on a poster, but as a person who shows up, who knows her craft, who understands discipline like it's part of her blood. He said the bulk of what's being thrown at her is untrue. And he didn't sell it like a slogan. He said it like a fact. There was more in his words than defense. There was recognition. Respect. He painted a picture of a colleague who earned every inch of her place, who wasn't handed a throne but built a path brick by brick. He called it sad and tragic even that a few loose claims, shouted loudly and shared quickly, could stain a reputation that took years to polish. You could feel the mood shift. Cameras kept rolling, but the wind changed direction. Here at Turkish series stars, we applaud courage like that. It's effortless to cheer when the crowd is cheering with you. It's something else entirely to step forward when it's easier to step away. Do we need more actors like Baris? Willing to speak clearly when fog is the fashionable option? Or is silence the only language trolls never understand? Let us know in the comments, and if this kind of deep dive matters to you, consider sending a super thanks. It keeps us independent, and it keeps stories like this told in full color. One of the most striking parts of what Baris unveiled that night wasn't just his insistence on truth, but the mirror he held up to all of us. The industry, the media, the timeline scrolls that feel like oxygen. He spoke about how rumor travels faster than proof, how a screenshot can outrun a full story, how a caption can rewrite a career. He reminded everyone that people deserve the chance to answer before strangers decide the answer for them. He asked for sense. Not silence. Not worship. Sense. A pause between anger and action. A standard that says success shouldn't be a target painted on someone's back. He didn't sugarcoat the business either. He said the set isn't a playground for saints, it's a pressure zone where schedules are brutal, where perfection is demanded daily, where misunderstandings happen because everyone is sprinting toward a deadline. But misunderstandings aren't weapons, and they shouldn't be turned into them. It's unbalanced, he argued, to inflate small friction into scandal when it suits clicks, and ignore the months of collaboration that don't make a headline. And while the cameras captured Baris, a different story was unfolding offstage. People close to Yağmur, genuinely close, the kind who know how she takes her coffee and what she does with a free afternoon, felt a wave of relief. In a week that had become a blur of calls and consultations, his words felt like a life raft. We're told that Yağmur is preparing a full, official statement, carefully and methodically. Not a spontaneous live stream. Not a reactive rant. Something measured, crafted with legal counsel, aligned with her long game. Because she isn't playing to the comments, she's protecting her work and her future. And that takes time. What Baris bought her with that moment was time. Breathing room. A chance to move from defendant to human being again. A shift in the narrative from accused to targeted by exaggerations. The tone changed. Not everywhere, of course, storms don't just vanish. But enough for the sky to look different. This moment also exposed the truth of their bond. Anyone paying attention knows their paths have crossed more than once, shared sets, overlapping crews, nights rehearsing lines until they blur into laughter. They've kept it low-key, out of the selfies and the staged candids, but inside the industry, there's an understanding that they speak often and trust each other's instincts. His words felt less like a calculated play and more like what loyalty looks like when the lights are bright and your friend is standing in a shadow. What followed was a wave of debate. Are we too quick to judge when we've only seen a stitched-together clip? Do we love drama more than truth? Do we forget that actors are people who get tired, who misread a moment, who fix things in private because not everything needs to be a thread? The chatter turned from finger-pointing to reflection, however briefly. And in a space where reflection is rare, that's progress. Now, the question hangs, what will Yağmur do next? Will she pursue legal action against those who engineered the loudest claims? Will she speak once, clearly, and then return to set as if the noise were just weather? Or will she let her work do what it's always done, speak louder than any rumor could? Thanks to Baris, whatever she chooses won't be met by a mob, but by an audience willing to listen. What's striking isn't just the content of his defense, but the manner of it. He didn't grandstand. He didn't perform. He stood there and drew a simple boundary. He might as well have said, "This ends here," though he didn't have to. It was the line itself that mattered. In a world that prizes spectacle, he chose substance, and that choice resonated. Picture the scene again. The marble floor of a premier venue, the hum of air conditioning that no one hears until the crowd goes quiet, the cameraman who lowers his rig a fraction because something honest is happening. A journalist, smart and insistent, asking whether friendships cloud judgment. And Baris answering, gently but without apology, that knowing someone well doesn't mean blindness. It means context. It means you've seen the rehearsals, the retakes, the early call times after late shoots, the private apologies that never make it to a headline. It means you can tell the difference between a bad day and a bad person. Stories, especially the dangerous kind, can feel inevitable in this ecosystem. But they're not. They're choices, stacked on choices. Someone chooses to post. Someone chooses to share. Someone chooses to believe. Tonight, we saw another kind of choice. One that didn't demand loyalty from strangers, but invited fairness from everyone. The reminder that if success is a spotlight, it should light the work, not blind the worker. For fans who've followed their careers, none of this will feel foreign. Baris has long carried himself like a steady anchor on set, an actor who hits his marks and keeps his scene partners safe. And Yağmur, for all her ease in front of the camera, is known behind it for the quiet grind. The hours spent with scripts marked up like maps, the patience to do it again until it's right. These are not qualities you can fake with a filter. The ripples from this moment are already touching the industry. Colleagues are texting their publicists to remind them that they won't be speaking on gossip. Directors are taking a second to remember how conflict gets resolved out of sight. Younger actors are learning that loyalty isn't loud, it's consistent. And audiences, many of you watching this right now, are discovering that waiting a beat for facts isn't boring, it's responsible. It's the only way we protect the art we claim to love. So, what comes next? We'll be here for the official statement when it lands. We'll break it down, we'll trace how it shifts the arc of this story, and we'll hold the line on the difference between curiosity and cruelty. If you're with us in that, make sure you're subscribed to Turkish series stars, hit that bell so you don't miss a beat, and share this video so the truth doesn't get drowned out by the loudest voice in the room. If you want to go further, the join button keeps our lights on and our independence intact. To the fans who wrote messages of support when it was harder to be kind than to be clever, your words mattered. To the insiders who refused to feed the fire with half-truths, your restraint mattered. And to the man who stepped up when retreat was easier, Baris, your voice mattered. Not because it was perfect, but because it was principled. Sometimes chivalry isn't a gesture, it's a stance. This story isn't over. The narrative has shifted, yes, but the next move belongs to Yağmur. Will she bring receipts and lawyers, or composure and silence, or some precise combination of both? However it unfolds, remember the simple wisdom tucked inside this week's noise. Give people room to speak before you decide what they've said. Give them time to breathe before you decide what they meant. The distance between rumor and reality is often just patience. Turkish series stars family, thank you for standing with us in this defense of dignity. Stay close. Turn on notifications so you feel the tremor the second her statement drops. And keep your eyes on the work that built these careers in the first place, the work that will outlast any storm. Until next time, keep your hearts open, your minds sharp, and your standards higher than the latest trending thread.